Walk into almost any grocery store today, and you'll find glowing shelves of bottles promising a probiotic-rich, detoxifying elixir. Curious, but those labels often ignore the biological reality. People frequently call this mushroom tea, yet the beverage contains zero fungi. That squishy floating disc is actually a SCOBY, a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. The naming confusion only goes deeper. Kombucha is a Japanese term that literally translates to seaweed tea, but the brew contains no kelp. It is made from terrestrial black or green tea leaves. The name we use today is a historical misnomer that stuck. To understand what this strange microbial matrix actually is, we have to look past the modern marketing and follow the oral traditions that allowed it to survive. Legends trace the drink back to the Qin dynasty in China, a period when emperors were obsessed with the pursuit of longevity elixirs. The foundational story begins in the Bohai Sea district, with a shop assistant who was rinsing out a jar of honey. Through a simple error, the assistant sloshed that honey rinse water into a nearby earthenware crock filled with wine. As the days passed, a strange fragrance began to fill the shop, a scent both sweet and sour that no one could identify. When they opened the crock, they discovered a thick, white, sticky film had grown across the top, creating a biological seal over the liquid. It was the middle of a sweltering summer, and the thirsty assistant decided to risk a drink. He found a perfectly balanced sweet tart nectar. Fermented foods aren't typically born in labs. They are the result of happy accidents, where human error and nature collaborate to transform spoiled ingredients. The shopkeeper began to divide the sea treasure, so his neighbors could brew their own. This is the only way a SCOBY travels. You have to physically tear the culture in half and share it. From eastern China, this biological lineage began a slow migration along global trade routes. Folklore claims a Korean physician named Dr. Kombu carried the drink to a Japanese emperor in 414 CE, cementing the name that would eventually travel to the west. Other samples traveled westward, moving across harsh overland routes into Central Asia and the Russian interior. Russian households adopted the brew into their own traditions, renaming it tea kwas, or the tea mushroom. This tradition was almost lost during World War II, when sugar and tea were strictly rationed. Keeping a culture alive became an impossible luxury for most families. But the practice survived, exploding in 1950s Italy, where the craze was so intense that people reportedly stole holy water to bless their home brews. It even inspired a hit pop song about the Chinese fungus. Names and languages changed as the tea crossed borders, but the human ritual of nurturing and dividing the culture remained completely unbroken. The myths grew more extreme in the 20th century. After the disaster at Chernobyl, legends surfaced of elderly women who supposedly survived the radiation because they drank kombucha daily. This level of protection hasn't been scientifically verified, but the story mirrors a consistent human reaction to crisis, an instinctive reliance on traditional, living foods that feel familiar and protective. In times of upheaval, these ferments become a stabilizing force, a connection to an ancestral routine that feels safe. These conflicting myths were the mechanism that kept the biology alive. By framing the tea as a treasure or a royal gift, the folklore gave families a reason to meticulously protect the culture and ensure it was hand-delivered to the next generation. Long before we understood the science of bacteria, these legends taught us to value and preserve a fragile ecosystem that we didn't yet have the tools to see. Every time you pick up a bottle today or prepare a batch in your own kitchen, you're stepping back into that timeline. You are handling a biological lineage that has survived for thousands of years solely through human attention and transmission. Every sip is an active participation in that chain of folklore, sharing the same sea treasure that a shopkeeper marveled at in an ancient Chinese grocery store.